Hello again. Thanks for coming back to Ski Movement Motor Skills Training. I'm going to focus on opening the hips. I've had several clients this year that hold fear in their hips, crouching, not able to move them. It's just that yeah, they just get bound up, and it may be physically they're already bound up. That's very possible. Just fear on the hill isn't the only fear we have in lives. We could be holding other fear in our lives that have manifested into tight, immobile hips where energy doesn't move through them. So I'm going to stretch them out a little bit. Some of the things I do for my hips, really important. The front side of the hip would be, you might use a pad for your knee, a softer pad than the yoga mat, but taking and gripping your glutes, holding your abdominal muscles up, kind of tight, protect your lower back from arching back. So I don't want to arch my lower back. If anything, I want to try to tuck my tailbone, rotate my hips forward and feel a stretch in here. And with that stretch, what I want to do is I want to elongate it and move my right pelvis forward and then come back. And all while I'm doing this, I'm actually gripping, I'm trying to scissor my legs into the mat. Okay, so as I'm stretching, I'm still scissoring, I'm still pushing the back leg into the mat. The front knee, keep straight up and down. And breathe into it a few times. You can spend more time on this, as much time as you like. I even try to get up off of my knee and extend my leg. Okay, and if you hold on to things, like a stool maybe, that will work as well, or put your arm on your knee, extend your leg, that'll take some of the pressure off the knee that's on the floor, and rotate this knee in. And you can come about it any way you need to. We're all have different ranges of motion. Do that with both legs. Okay, so I'm very flexible, probably more flexible than most of my clients. And this bothers my knee a little bit to be on the floor. So having some pressure up on your toes is fine. You can have this back foot flat. There's lots of variations. Find your own stretch. Okay, find your own stretch. You can move and rotate in it. Try not to get this knee to go too far forward. And then come up on it, scissoring the knees, the legs into the ground. So we want to use strength as we stretch this, and then try to square the hips up, rotating this knee in. And if you're already a yogi, just do your warrior poses. Okay, the warrior pose, and stretch and reach back with that back leg. And then you can add to the stretch by reaching up with the torso. If you don't have quite the range of motion, that's okay. You don't have to be that deep down. You can be a little taller. And scissoring the feet into the floor. Scissor them into the floor, so be strong. Pulling your feet into the floor, square your hips, and then reach up and stretch that hip all the way through the front. Same with this side. You don't have to go down on your knee if you don't like. If it doesn't work for you, stretch that back. You can be up on your toes. The main thing is you're looking for opening this hip up without arching your back and stretching it out. feels really good. Okay, so that covers kind of the front side of the hip. The side of the hip, the side body of the hip, I like to stretch over like this. So you're going on the edge of your feet, pulling up on this arm will stretch your side body of your trunk, and letting that hip go way out. Keeping the abdominal tucked in and the pelvis from arching the lower back. Don't arch the lower back. Take the other side. Oh, and stretch those hips out. Okay? Work that as long as you need. Put some music on, meditate on it. And, okay, so that gets the side body, this side of the hip. And then for the back of the hip muscles, I like to do this kind of movement here where you put one foot up over the other. And there's many ways to do it. You can sit up and pull on it, and then inch your foot up as you go. You don't want to round your lower back, keep it very neutral. Very neutral. And then breathe into this. Once you reach a limit, when you breathe deeply, you'll feel a deeper stretch in it. And that's going to stretch these muscles in the glute and deep internal hip muscles. Stretch into it, breathe into it. And I usually spend a lot of time in these stretches, much more than I'm going to share with you now, just because it would be too boring just to follow me around on the video. And you might know all these already, so we're working at stretching these hips. We'll do the front, back, side. Like to breathe into it. If you have trouble with knees, you might give a little support so you're not using so much torque on the knee joint. By pulling out here, you can reach in and grab in here. If you don't have that range of motion, you can start down lower. There's another one we can do here, is you can sit down over it and work that for your range of motion. And as you get better and better, or more flexible, if you are more flexible, this leg can go back and you can get a stretch on the back leg and the front leg. Try to square the pelvis. And these are good stretches too. So mind your body if you have, if you have knee problems or something. My knee is problematic on the right knee, so oftentimes I will take and assist rolling my femur out to the side so I don't have so much torque on the knee. And then breathe deeply into that stretch. Extending the back leg back. Some of the ideas, things I do, but that's what we want to do, is work on opening up the hips. So for motor skills, I guess internal, I do like to sit in this fashion too. It stretches the groin muscle, and you can move and push from side to side and open those hips more on the internal side as well. And this stretch will progress to getting some side body going in as well. Always keeping the abdominal gripped and tight and not arching the lower back so much. Okay, so when you get some kind of warmed up, loosened up hips, one of the motor skills to create some strength in the hips that I really like, and I'm going to do this with a little bit of assistance for for people that might not be able to hold the balance just on one leg. So starting from here is to rotate this hip up and down, up and down, keeping the abdominal dropped up. Don't arch the back, and rotate that up and down. And do that as many times as you can tolerate it without losing posture. And raise your leg at different levels and rotate it. Different levels and rotate it. It gives a good stretch in the groin as well. And if you're just going a little ways, that's okay. It'll grow, you'll get some more. So this rotation of the hip, this is it's externally rotating the hip. Okay, so it's going to simulate a turn. Okay, so keep making this movement here as you're straight up and down. You need to hold something to balance, that's okay. Okay, so what we're doing is simulating some of the movements we have to make in skiing. Okay, so when I make a turn, I have to rotate the hip and get these angles here. Okay, so this will help develop some of that mobility in the hip. Okay, if I'm turning to the left, I want to have this hip forward. So as you rotate this around, grip your right leg you're balancing on, turn it hard to the inside as you pull this hip forward. Balance your muscles, your body's over your balancing foot, turn into the left. Okay, so on the other side, use something to balance on if you have to, and do the same thing. Rotate, exercise this muscles. My arms are moving because my whole torso is connected to the pelvis. Okay, and then as we get down further, do all the ranges of motion, all the ranges, and slow is good too. And if you get to a point where you're creating a stretch, I like that. Stretch in the groin, and if you can get to a point where you can balance, that's good as well. Okay, so we're gonna work this hip. Keep working it, keep working it, keep working it. Put some music on, and then when you get down to here, you're rotating this hip. This leg, you don't have to really rotate this leg much. Just keep it moving with your balancing leg. Okay, so if we get this pulled to the max, this is a right turn. Okay, we're gripping these muscles here, rotating onto the big toe side, and you're pulling this hip forward. And you're holding that, drawing all the muscles in, and then taking it back. And then forward, drawing muscles, finding balance, and then taking it back. Okay, so that is a really good exercise to get those hips moving for that motion on skis. Because when I get you to the snow, I'm going to set you up on the side of the hill in that cool skier pose, hip in front, and push you off, and you'll be able to glide across the slope with this hip in front. Okay, opened up, able to move and flex. Okay, so that's the first exercise and what you do for hip to start letting go of fear and getting motion and movement for skiing in that hip joint across the top of your femur, the turning ski, the one you're balancing on. All right, try that, send some feedback, and we'll take it to the snow. All right, peace.